Hey, this is Seth Mosley, and you're listening to the Full Circle Music Show, the why of the music biz. Today, we've got a legend on the show, Michael W. Smith. I'm sure you've heard of him. Over 18 million records sold worldwide, 3 Grammy Awards, 45 Dove Awards, and an ASCAP Lifetime Achievement Award in songwriting. Published 13 books, and is coming up on record number 30. 6 platinum records. And that's just his music career. He's an amazing guy, an amazing family man, and we hear a little bit behind the scenes of his story and how he has had the success that he's had. We get to hear a little bit about the beginnings and what he went through to get where he is. He just came back from New Orleans last weekend, had an acting role in the Dick Clark production, The Passion, which was performed live in New Orleans, live on Fox, along with artists Daughtry, Seal, Trisha Yearwood, and more. Honestly, he's been one of my personal heroes in music for a long time, so this was a really special interview for me to do, and thank you for listening in. Make sure you head over to iTunes, leave us a good rating and a review, and share it with your friends. Here's Michael W. Smith. Well, here in the studio at Michael W. Smith's studio, he's joining us on the Full Circle Music Show. Thank you for being here today.
You got it. Good to be on.
Sitting in your awesome home studio here in Franklin, Tennessee. I had the privilege to meet you a few years back and got to work on the Sovereign record with you, which was kind of a dream come true for me because my house, we grew up having your stuff playing all the time. So definitely it's been an honor to work with you and just kind of be a part of what you're doing. So
thank you.
Yeah. What's been, I mean, you kind of just came back from New Orleans. Do you want to talk a little bit about what kind of just happened down there? That was a pretty monumental thing you were a part of.
Yeah, I was just involved in a big production that Fox aired on their network called The Passion with Trisha Yearwood, Daughtry, Tyler Perry narrated, kind of some new faces. Prince Royce got a big hit on the radio now. Jen Carlos played Jesus, and Seal.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, it's Seal. I mean, this is kind of epic, for me. But I played a disciple, participated a little bit musically, which was fun. It was life-changing for me. It was just awesome. So I'm still kind of reeling from it. I thought it went really, really well, know. And I think people are going to be talking about it for a long, long time. It's something that's just never been done before. I mean,
Right.
The way they did it was sort of in 3 parts. It was kind of semi-live, all these live performances. Trisha was unbelievable, singing all this stuff live in 20-mile-an-hour winds and
Right.
Battling the elements. And then this whole big cross there's another part of the movie that's going through the streets of New Orleans, finally getting to the park. And then there's a movie that was shot, which is mainly a lot of what I did was in that movie.
Yeah.
That was filmed 2 months earlier. So.
Yeah.
But just a lot of friendships forged, and just great to work with Adam Anders,
Yeah.
who's just done really, really well in LA, and then got to do a bonus track, on the Target exclusive release of The Passion, which the one and only right here, Seth Mosley, you. I called at the last minute going, can you carve out a few days? Can we see if we can pull this thing off? And the song's called He Will Never End. Thank you again. You did an amazing job. Everybody loves it.
Oh, it's a fantastic song. So, and I remember it was kind of one of those down to the wire things. How many of your songs, better yet, your hits from over the years, kind of came together like that on a last minute sort of, hey, we got to do this. It's got to be done in 10 days. Or is that kind of a unique situation?
Yeah, I usually don't like that,
Yeah.
but it happens on every record, and there's something always pretty remarkable that happens because of it,
Yeah.
You're sitting there kind of freaking out a little bit, but it's just more stuff that happens by mistake, or you end up writing a song at the very last minute, which that's happened a lot,
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, I don't like deadlines, but I think deadlines are good on some level.
Right. So that was, because the Sovereign record, would that have been your 25th studio record? Is that right?
I think
something like
I'm
that.
trying to add them up because there were 3 released that year. There was Sovereign, and there was the Christmas record, and then the Hymns record came out that year. So I think this new Hymns is either 28, 29. So you're probably right. Sovereign was probably number 25.
Coming up on 30 then.
Getting close.
That's incredible. What do you have planned for record number 30?
I don't know. I just know that I've made my share of mistakes in the past. I've written my share of not so good songs, and I don't want to do that ever again. I was really happy with the Sovereign record. I think there's some really great moments on it. I just think I want to blow it up, and I think I'm going to reinvent myself again a little bit. And I even hate saying that, but I think there's a way to do that and still stay true to who you are.
Yeah.
But just assemble a team of people, not only on the production side and writer side, but probably on the distribution of just going, if I'm going to do something, then we got to have the A team on every level to be involved. And if not, then I'd rather not do another record.
Sure.
So, and who says it's a record? Who says it's not a TV show? Who says it's not a movie? Yeah. Who says it's not a little bit of all that? You know, the passion was a lot of that, a lot of, all these things colliding, So sure. I do think the TV movie thing is in the future. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to go shoot another movie.
Oh, wow.
I was just this next week, and I was in 90 Minutes in Heaven, which I got to score that with Tyler too. So that seems to be popping up from time to time. So, but I'm just now actually just starting to think about what's next. Sure. And the passion thing was very inspiring to sort of, kind of light a fire under me going, what, it's time to start dreaming a little bit. So I'm in the dreaming mode at this point.
And what do you put in your tank that kind of fills that up? Is there music that you're into now? Are you reading? Do you get into movies, or is it kind of everything?
A little bit of everything. I have a hard time finding music that I like, honestly. There's obviously things that pop up from time to time going, well, that's cool. You know, I ran across the hits by Seal at my house this morning and went, whoa, just by mistake, going, maybe I should go back and listen to that, So if I can't find anything that I like, I'll go back and find stuff that are great. I think probably the biggest inspiration has been the Passion soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because there's so many great songs on that album, that Adam obviously redid for obviously the cast. They're all redone, but
sure.
I forgot how much I liked Unconditional by Katy Perry, And then When Love Takes Over, which I think is one of the songs that you like, which is on the Passion. So it was just been fun to hear, because I listened to it over and over, and obviously in the production, you're hearing these songs over and over. And just to be able to hear great songs on a daily basis was pretty inspiring.
Sure. Well, I'd love to hear, just from my perspective, I'm sure you've shared this 1,000 times by now. You could almost do it in your sleep, but what was your backstory of kind of getting into music and becoming an artist? How did you kind of, quote unquote, get on the map for the first time?
Well, I think my biggest strategic move was moving to Nashville. I grew up in Canova, West Virginia, and I was a baseball player. I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I wasn't your typical jock because I was a musician too. Wrote my first song when I was 5. I'd never play it for you. It was horrible.
Musical family?
Musical family. And we all sang. I played by ear. And didn't make the All-Stars at 15. And it was the only second time I walked down the aisle at my church. When I was 10, I had a massive encounter with the Lord that changed my life. And then 15, I walked down and told my pastor, I asked him if he'd pray for me. I said, I think music is supposed to be a part of the fabric of my life, and I have no idea how I'm going to get there or what the rules are, but I just believe this is what God has for me, So, I eventually, just in 1978, just packed my bags, and I probably belonged in L.A. more so than Nashville, but I didn't want to move to L.A., and I didn't want to move to New York. And I had a friend in town named Shane Keister, big session player, keyboard player, who was from Huntington, who kind of embraced me, and I moved here and worked with his brother in landscaping, and I just kind of stuck it out. I was going through a little hard time spiritually and had a drug phase. It was just crazy. I'd look back on it, and it's still hard to believe. And thank God for praying mom and dad, who just never said anything negative to me. They just sort of prayed me back into the kingdom, you know. And then I had a meltdown in fall of 79, and then things began to change. I met Amy Grant, started writing songs for her for the Age to Age record. I met Mike Blanton and Dan Harrell. And then I played them a song called You Need a Savior, which was on the Michael W. Smith project.
Yeah.
But before he made that record. And I played them that song, and they just go, dude, you bring in 8 or 9 other songs in like that, we'll go get a record deal.
Yeah.
And I did, and nobody would sign me. We went to LA, nobody would sign me. So they started a record label called Reunion Records to service me and Kathy Tricoli.
Wow.
And that's how Reunion was born. So, and I guess the rest is history. Opening up for Amy was sort of not a bad way to go.
Yeah.
Kind of be at the right place at the right time.
Sure. What was that connection initially? How did you...
Mike and Dan managed Amy. So I'd met you know what? I actually met Amy. I probably met Gary first, and then met Amy, got introduced to her, and found out her managers were Mike Blanton and Dan Harrell. Well, then I met those guys, and we all just kind of hit it off, as friends. And I was real hyper, writing 5 songs in 3 minutes. I was so hyper, I was so high strung,
Yeah.
But we just kind of hit it off, and then they heard me play keyboards, and then my first real gig, Amy, was the spring of '82, and I was her musical director, and I kind of put her band together.
Wow.
And then in August of that year, when they started Reunion, in August and September, I cut the Michael W. Smith project for $11,000.
Amazing.
Had a free studio at Tree Studio, which I was a writer at that point for Metagreen.
Yeah.
Under the Tree label. Yeah. And then I started opening up shows for Amy for the next 2.5 years.
It's amazing. So about 3 years of sort of grinding it out in Nashville, doing landscaping and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Worked at Coca-Cola, waited tables. Yeah, I ate a lot of bologna sandwiches, bro. Yeah.
Was there a specific time that kind of sticks out in your head that you were kind of like, okay, maybe this music thing is not going to work out, or it's not for me? Or was there a time that you wanted to quit, or were you always just like, no matter what happens, I'm just going to keep doing it?
I just knew it was my destiny.
Yeah.
I got discouraged a few times. I thought I'd written this great song and took it in, to a guy named Randy Cox, and he didn't think it was very good. And I remember kind of walking out and going, kind of got deflated.
Yeah.
But only deflated for 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
I would just sort of like jump back and going, okay, well, I'm going to go make it better. I just sort of never gave up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I would have ever predicted that 33 years down the road,
Right.
I'd be sitting here talking to you, talking about a crazy, successful career. I mean, you always thought that this was your destiny, but I don't think anybody can, you just can't pretend to know what that's going to look like, So
Right.
I pinch myself every day. I just go,
Yeah.
I go, wow, God.
Yeah.
I never could have orchestrated this. Pretty remarkable.
So coming up on whatever the 30th project is going to be, you still seem really excited and inspired to keep doing it. Is that true, or is that just?
I feel like my best work is ahead.
Wow.
And I think that's just part of my wiring a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm real optimistic. I just really want to be great at what I do. And I don't think for selfish reasons. I don't want to be a rock star. I've been through all that. I know ultimately at the end of the day what this is all about.
Yeah.
Of just, honestly, this is my sweet spot. And so, I have the chance to honestly just let people know who Jesus really is. I mean, that's the number one goal, you know, and doing that in a non-threatening way. And just, I've had so much favor with people from all different aisles, people, non-believers and believers. But I feel like as a believer, and I think I have the capacity because of who lives inside of me. We're supposed to be making the greatest art ever.
Yeah.
I'm ready to do that, you know? So, so that's just kind of my thought process, but just I want to finish well, definitely. And I just want to hit my sweet spot. And I want to and again, what that next thing is, I've got 8 things on my board,
Right.
I'm working on a symphony. I just did another hymns record, all these, maybe another film, obviously doing a film next week. And then, there's lots of stuff on the board, but there is that one place on the board. What is this sort of next thing that I'm going to write or co-write?
Yeah.
And who am I going to work with on it? And that's what I don't know yet.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's pretty incredible. Thinking back over all the years being an artist, I think one of the things that I struggle with, and a lot of young artists or writers or producers struggle with, is the whole balance of being a creative versus being a good family man. How have you found balance over the years to kind of keep all of that together? And what's the secret for that?
Well, we made the rule, Deb and I. When this thing started really taking off, when the Amy thing, and then I just did the Friends tour and Big Picture tour. We started having children.
So you were married when?
I got married in '81.
Okay.
To Deb, so it'll be 35 years this year. So
congratulations!
Thank you.
That's amazing.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
But we knew. I think we probably really knew when I did the Lead Me On tour, which was probably most successful, other than the Change the World tour. It it was probably the most successful tour I've ever been a part of, because we sold out arenas, me and Amy, all around the country and in other countries as well. Yeah. And we just started seeing people in our genre and then other genres when it came to being entertainers and all that sort of thing, that marriages were falling apart left and right. And so we kind of, I remember just having a talk with Deb and just going, there's probably more, if we don't make some rules, there's probably more chances of us being a casualty than not. And we're not going to be a casualty. Yeah. And so we just made the rule, I'm not going to ever be gone more than 2 weeks from my family, ever. Wow. Even if I had to cross the pond and come back and cross it again. Yeah. And I was never gone from Deb and the kids for more than 2 weeks. Wow. I had a little aircraft, and I don't talk about that much. I just it was worth every penny. I thought, I've got to get home to my family. Yeah. And a lot of times I'd do a show, and I'd literally walk off stage and got in a car, and I was on the jet, and I was home at midnight, and I'm driving carpool at 7:15. Wow. I did that for 12 and a half years. Yeah. And I think if you talk to my kids, I think if you could have a private one-on-one, I think they would all say we were more important to my dad than his career was. Wow. So and now I got all these young bands. I got some of these young kids are all starting to come to me and ask me exactly what you asked me. Yeah. And I think that's part of my role in the future, is sort of be a fatherly role and try to help kids, and I just don't think you can do 250 shows on the road and keep a family together. And they said, well, we got to pay the bills. We got to make the house payment. My response is, then buy a smaller house. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. McFly. Hello. Yeah. Just really common sense kind of thing, Yeah. And obviously then just have some great accountability. You got to have a band of brothers, and you got to have just a good, whether you call it your life group or your prayer group, you got to just have some people that's going to walk with you, because it's a tough business. Yeah. Especially if you're an artist and you're traveling. Sure. Yeah. It can take you down. So you just got to have your guard up. Yeah. Do you think it's harder now to get into it, since it's so, you've probably seen a lot of changes over the years, and now it's so streaming based that artists are kind of, like you said, having to go out and tour to make their bills, because they're not selling records, and you're making 0.00008 cents a song per stream. Do you think that's, I don't know. A lot of people are kind of gloom and doom about the music biz, but do you think it's, I definitely think it's harder. Yeah. There's no doubt. Obviously the revenue is not there like it used to be. Yeah. I lived in the heyday when people bought CDs like crazy. that was like crazy. Yeah. Yeah. But I think there's a new day. So I tend, and I think I would encourage any of these young bands, it's probably never going to be like it was, but I think there's new opportunities. You got to think out of the box. You got to get involved with some people who can help you think out of the box. Yeah. Because I think there's a new day in how to do business and build how to let people know who you are, but not at the expense of your family, Right. So I can understand the pressure that a lot of these bands feel that they got to tour all the time. Yeah. And I get upset a little bit with the record companies, because I think and I'm not saying everybody does that, but I think there's pressure from them. That the band's got to tour? Yeah, and that bothers me. Yeah. Because I don't feel like I feel like it's so one-sided, when I feel like there should be a balance of not only caring about their success, but also caring about their families from the executive level. Sure. Well, yeah, I'm really glad and inspired to hear you say all that. And if you kind of look back over all the years, because a lot of people that listen to the show are kind of, up and coming kid in Nebraska that wants to be an artist or pro songwriter or whatever it is. Is there anything that you would kind of say to the younger you when you were first getting into it that you're like, okay, you might want to do that a little differently? Is there anything that kind of comes to mind like that? Well, I think heart-wise, obviously we all grow up, we all make mistakes. I think we all get, if we really are seeking the Lord, we all get a little wiser as we get older. But yeah, I'd probably go back and tell myself at 23, 24 years old, I'd probably just say, dude, it's not about you. That's probably the first thing I would say. Yeah. And I was so like, how many records did we sell? And did we sell any t-shirts? And you're just so like, and it's hard because you're excited. You want to be successful, and I think I would just wish I'd have seen the bigger picture a little bit. And that's probably what I'd say to these young kids going, why are you here?
Sure.
Reconnect with why you're here, because you're not here to be a superstar.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with being successful at all, but it can't drive you. It can't just encompass everything that you do. It just can't, So I always say, what's your contribution? Think about, even in the hard times and trying to get the thing off the ground, are you making a contribution? Are you changing somebody's life?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of stuff I'd probably say. And then if I had to say something on the musical level, I'd say it all starts with the song.
Sure.
You can be the greatest singer in the world, but if you don't have the song,
Yeah.
I think that's the key. If you're going to be a recording artist and establish a career, it's all about the song.
Yeah. So do you think to have a lasting career, you have to be able to be a songwriter, or just kind of, I mean, it's interesting, like country music, it's a lot of the time that singers are singing other people's songs.
Yeah.
And
no, I don't think there's a lot of people who are not singer-songwriters. I mean, I sort of gravitate towards singer-songwriters.
Yeah.
I mean, but you've got some people who are not really great songwriters, but they're great singers, and they just have this persona about them that's like, you look at them going, that guy's a superstar.
Yeah.
Or they just got it. They just got whatever that it is. They've got it,
Yeah.
So, I mean, both work.
Sure. So for a while, because you ran a label, started a label called Rocket Town, right? So you kind of sat in that seat on the side of the label. Is that something that's in your future, or is that was done and kind of on to the next thing? Or?
I think the labels thing is over for me. I think we made a lot of, I haven't really talked about this much. It's crazy. I think about it often. It's done.
Yeah.
We sort of folded it,
Sure.
But I believe if we'd have made better choices back then, I think the record label could have survived.
Sure. What kind of choices?
I feel like we didn't, I love starting the label because it felt like all these singer-songwriters, that labels weren't signing those kind of artists,
Yeah, yeah.
And we were fortunate to find some really, really great writers, Chris Rice being one of those, just wrote all these amazing songs.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that we saw a storm coming and we didn't react to it, I think I would have probably made staffing changes earlier. I think we probably should have sold maybe half the label. We should have partner with somebody.
Sure.
We had distribution obviously, but
yeah,
we should just made some wiser choices, and ultimately, I guess I have to take full responsibility. I wasn't there on a daily basis.
Sure.
But I certainly had the ability to go in and make an executive change, and I just didn't do it, and I should have. So at the end of the day, I probably have to take the blame for that.
Sure. Well,
it ran its course, and I go, there's still some great stuff. I still love going back and listening to Exodus record,
Yeah.
and those Chris Rice records, I remember Jenny Owens one day, just blown away by what she did on that first album, and Wilshire, and this list goes on, but you can't change the past, it's just
right.
So I'm very fortunate that I didn't lose my house, and
right.
But we definitely suffered some losses, and lost a lot of money.
Sure. Well, that's unfortunately kind of, sometimes it seems like the nature of the music business when you kind of get in and you don't know what it's going to be, but you got to try it and figure it out as you go. It seems to be the people that stick around the longest are the ones who are kind of entrepreneurial and willing to make mistakes and try different things.
Not afraid to fail. Failure is part of the process, You just hope you have more successes than failures.
Right.
If you failed all the time,
yeah,
you might be in the wrong business,
Yeah.
But that's one thing I wish I could have changed it, but I can't. I learned a lot from it, So you learn and apply what you learned in the future. And saying that's probably very wise to not go start a record label. Yeah. I'm probably more inclined to sort of be in the publishing world, because I think there's some longevity there versus trying to be a record company.
So that's the word of advice for Michael W. Smith. Don't go start a record label. That's awesome. Well, man, I know you're incredibly busy and have tons of things going on, but it's really generous of you to come and do this with us today. And I've learned a lot. I think our listeners will take a lot away from the conversation. So is there anything you kind of just want to leave everybody with, as, anything you're working on, anything you're excited about right now?
I don't think so. I think I might have said it all. I mean, I wish I had just a little bit more clarity of what's kind of what the next thing is.
Sure.
Sure. I think I'm still, like I said at the beginning, I think I'm still reeling from this passion experience.
Yeah.
I just think, I would say this, whatever you're doing, anybody listening, you got to take some risk.
Yeah.
I love adventure, I love sort of living on the edge a little bit, and I think that's what these people did on The Passion. I mean, this was a real risk.
Yeah.
You got Dick Clark involved, the productions, and you spend $12-13 million. I mean, obviously,
right.
I wasn't footing that bill,
right?
But just on a creative level, I would just challenge, and I challenge myself with this all the time, is that we have a lot of things that sound alike, and a lot of writers just kind of moving words around, There's some exceptions. There's some great stuff that's written, but just raise the bar, be really, really good at what you're doing, whatever that is. Just be really good at it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we're called to do.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thanks again for your time today.
You got it. Thank you.
This has been the Full Circle Music Show, produced by Full Circle Music, with editing help from Jericho Scroggins. We heard from legend Michael W. Smith today. We'll be back next week with another music industry veteran. We'd love to hear your feedback. If there's an idea you have for the show, someone you want us to interview, a question you have, just send us an email to info@fullcirclemusic.org. Again, that's info@fullcirclemusic.org. And if you haven't already, go over and get our top 10 tips for songwriting from a Grammy-winning songwriter. Go to fullcirclemusic.org and download it right on that front page. We'll see you next week.